Momentarily.
This broadcast is live.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching this fabulous Facebook Live around the world. I'm here with the fabulous Sharai Robbin, Simon Schuster best-selling author, my writing coach, my friend, and the person who has agreed to do this fabulous interview with me to talk about Collect the Cash and all that good stuff. Sharai, first of all, thank you so very much for, number one, being my friend. Number two, agreeing to do this conversation. Number three, we have so much to talk about to tell the good people.
That's my happy dance. That's my happy dance. I can barely contain.
Look, it's not Fiction Friday neither.
We're gonna shimmy. We're gonna shimmy, even though
shimmy just a little bit.
We got all good things to shimmy about. I am so excited. You're saying like that it's exciting for you. It is an honor for me to be here to support you. I love what I do, but to work with people, to work with you, and to see how you have just taken ownership of this thing. I can't wait to get into it, to tell all the people how you was dipping a little bit, like you wasn't sure.
I was double dutching.
And I was like, get in the rope. But to see what has come just as a result of your obedience, and to see just how amazing opportunities are already opened up for you. I'm so excited for you. I'm so godly proud of you for sticking through the process, for doing the work, asking 1,000 questions, never being hesitant to, but I need to know a little bit more about this, Sharai. I'm not sure. Like, that's how you get results. That's how you get things done. I love that you're not the kind of person who just accepts things, or just, sometimes you don't understand and people just, they keep going, or they don't do the work because maybe they don't understand. But D, you're like, break it down for me, help me understand this, and then you go to work. And that's why you're here. That's why you're here at this moment as a published author, celebrating all the things that we're going to celebrate and scream to the world about. So I am through the roof about this process with you today. So I'm all yours. I've got a ton of questions for you, but
I know. I'm trying. Let me get this speaker volume thing going. Oops, that's not what I wanted to hit. Anyway, I just want to make sure we are up loud, a little bit louder. Okay, because I couldn't hear you as well. So anyway, I know we've got some people that are following. I see a few people have showed up. I'm like, okay, yeah. So hey y'all, what's up, y'all? How you doing? What's happening? I know people are here, so let me just go ahead and say hey. So
things that we're going to celebrate and scream to the world about. So that's me pressing stuff. Look, trying to move things around.
No worries, it's all good. As long as you got it streamed to your people, okay, and that's fine. And then we'll figure out all the other stuff afterwards. But anyway, so I am, and as it says above my head, Ephesians 3:20 is my absolute favorite scripture. That scripture has been my anchor scripture for forever. And for those who may not know what it says, the way I say it is this: now unto you, O God, who's truly able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that I could dare to hope, ask, dream, or even imagine, be all glory, dominion, and honor unto you, God, because you are absolutely the absolute best. And that's been my anchor scripture. And then gratitude, as you know, because you worked with me for almost a year now, gratitude is my secret sauce. I learned that when you say thank you, things change. I collected $6 million in 60 days working part-time, doing 3 things: doing problem solving, customer service, and the secret sauce was gratitude, which is how come Collect the Cash.
Collect the cash.
Collect the cash. Collect the cash, y'all. Exists. It's because of them 3 things. Yeah, that part.
Proud of you. That part.
Yeah,
that part. I think that there is so much to say about just not just being grateful, but being open. Right. But being open to what it takes to really persevere and push through the writing process. So I don't want to get all serious or anything, but I do want to get a little serious, right?
No, in this space. Listen, we going in. So we going in. So go ahead. Okay, that's why I got my wine. We going in. Look, I ain't playing. Look here. I ain't playing.
Ready. He was ready. I got my water because I got to keep working.
I got that too. I got both. I'm on both sides. I'm ready.
Good, right? Because you're prepared. And so it's like thinking about the amount of work that really has to go into it. And oftentimes people, and I shared this with the new group of writers recently, that often we shrink away, right? When you're your brain is wired to resist, right? It's wired to protect you. So when there's something that makes you uncomfortable, when you're moving into a new territory and you're doing something unfamiliar, your brain is going to go like, alert, alert, run, find something else to do, go do something more comfortable, go back into what you're used to and what you're accustomed to. And when you're brilliant like you are, right? When you are like, you're great at what you do. And I've had this challenge before. We have really great business owners who come into writing a book and it's new terrain. And they're like, well, this doesn't feel like I'm not owning this space like I own everything else. I'm not dominating this like I'm dominating the hair care industry or whatever else. And oftentimes they'll buck against it and run or back away from it. But there is such humility in being open to the process, right? So not only were you great, like, do you have gratitude and just grace in this space, but your heart was open. It was postured to receive advice, to receive correction and support, and to keep going along the journey. So tell me, like, how do you prepare for that? How is that being, you just said it, you've collected $60 million. You are no rookie to this. You are a boss when it comes to collecting coins. You've been doing this for a while. So what was that like for you to come under somebody else in a new, unfamiliar territory and be open to things that you were completely unfamiliar with? Tell me what that process was like.
You want to know? So what had happened? So here's what you want to know: was that what had happened was.
I want to know. The people would like to know what had happened was.
So listen, for my people in the back, y'all want to know. So what had happened was, I had been watching Sharai do her Facebook lives. She had been, she kind of just popped up on. Well, y'all probably know her, but she had popped up on the scene, and I was like, "Who is this lady? She's really cool and she's funny." That was the first part, and then she was smart. And then when I saw, hold up, Simon Schuster best-selling author, I'm like, oh man, she got like for real credentials. That's what's up. But on top of that, I kept seeing her do these lives, and she would keep talking to the people. And then she had this, I'm going to say an ad, for lack of a better word. It was, hey, you can write a book in 90 days. And I'm nope, not. And then she kept saying it. Like I promise you, like her Facebook lives or her ads kept showing up, but you can learn how to write a book in 90 days. And I was like, okay. So finally, I think I went to one of her webinars and I sat through it and I was like, this is interesting. Then I was like, I collect money. I'm like, so I had to work through I collect money. So my career, my profession, my business is about collecting money for corporations, government agencies, small companies, etc. And I'm like, who wants to learn about collecting money? So I went to the webinar, sat through it, and then she had a link. She said, if you want to talk to me, you can talk to me. So of course, being me, I scheduled a call. So we started talking a little bit, and she was like, so what do you do? So I told my story, and she was like, you can teach us how to win. That's the quote. And there's a whole video about her talking about, you teach, you dear brilliant, you collected millions of dollars, and you can teach, your why is you want to help us win. So I did double dutch. For those of y'all, I can't jump rope worth a damn, but I did double dutch with her. I cannot, girl. I was double-handed, and me too. And so I was double-handed, could not swing with the damn, but I could do singles. But anyway, I did double dutch with Sharai for a few times because I called, then I started, then I stopped, then I started. But then here's the thing. God gave her the grace to hold the space for me until I could finally say yes and trust her, trust me, and trust the process. And that's the gift she gave me. And that's how come, boom, we sit here with this today.
Hey, that's just every time you hold it up, it just gives me goosebumps. I just feel all warm in the inside. Oh,
yeah.
I can't wait to get
that's what Sharai did for me. She held that space. And she knew that I didn't fully understand all of the things of writing and opening yourself up and telling a story and writing, good sound sentences and all this other stuff that came along with it. I was like, what in the world? And our first couple of classes, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I'm just like, nope. But here's the thing. When I made the commitment, when I gave her my word, I was coming and I made my first payment, I was like, oh, heck yeah, I'm doing this. And what I learned was, when you show up and you keep showing up, you give God a chance to work. And that's to answer your question about how could I come under you, is because I have served in church. I have served as an usher and a greeter. I've been under a pastor before. I've served. So I know that if you expect to, in order for you to get to go higher, you have to come under somebody else who's already ahead of you so you can learn. That's how the great people do it. They get under somebody and they learn. And they take the correction. You know, you might have to go get yourself a couple of glasses of bottled wine to figure out, you know, your feelings. Let's just keep 100. You know, you have some feelings, and you do, but when you get to see like tangible fruit, like Sharai comes with, like when I say about credentials, she's not just a published author; she's a Simon & Schuster best-selling author. Like like those are real creds. That's like for real creds, and it's like okay, and she has the ability to teach, and she's got a roster of people that, you know, celebrities and all kinds of people, celebrities and non-celebrities. But the point is, she's got people that have trusted her to bring their story to life, and she's done that and so much more. And she's a mom, and she's got 2 beautiful kids, and I watch her do it with her kids and her family. She's that whole person. Like, you take a pie, she got all the slices, but when they come together, she rocks that. And then she teaches us. She does. You know this. I already told you this. She teaches us, people who are like, I don't know about this. She's like, I got you. Just keep showing up. Just keep showing up and do what I tell you. Do what I tell you. Do what I show you, and you'll see. And that's how we got here today.
Yeah, man. Adi, thank you. I love it because it's trust in the process, right? So one thing that I would like to add to my resume, right? Just a little nod, is that is the editing experience, right? Yeah. So yes, being signed with Simon & Schuster, selling books with Simon & Schuster, jumping up to their bestsellers list, it's amazing, right? But what that's not, that helps. It gives me the accolades, right? That's like, oh, Simon & Schuster's great. But what my strength and where my strength comes from is in being an editor for 20 years. Makes 20 years, 2021. And because that's my passion, because I know it in and out, upside down, backwards, sideways, there's nothing you can't ask me about writing that I won't have an answer to. I know that that's my superpower. So when I meet brilliant people like you, and I can ask you anything about money and sales cycles and systems and what I need to know about my contract, and it's flowing from you like fluid, like honey, I'm like, she don't know how brilliant she is. Maybe you don't get it. And the thing is, I keep seeing it. I see it all the time. I see we've got an amazing cohort of new authors right now in the program, and I see it with some of them too. You know, it's kind of like, am I bad enough? I'm like, what? Y'all, oh my God. So for me, it's like, I got to get y'all believing. You have to understand just how amazing you are, and just how monumental and life-changing one book can really be. One book can really change your entire life. So to be able to support someone who I can see as amazing in this space, it makes me excited. I got goosebumps. I'm like a little kid in the candy store right now.
Me too.
I'm wired right now. Like, this is amazing. I'm so excited for you. Like, this is really, really cool. So I love what I do. And so I want to ask you, I had a couple questions prepared for you to ask you about the process, So tell me, for you, for all of the writers who are hanging out today, because I do want to talk a little bit about the writing process. And then I want to get into some really cool stuff that's in your book as well, because your book helps us, right? That's the win. Your book is helping the business owners out here get their money right. Right. So, but tell me, and what you're saying, where's that? It's not what?
The sale is not complete until the money is in the bank.
And it's in the bank, not on its way. It's in the bank, right? I love that.
It's like this. You know what it is? The easiest way to talk about the sale is not complete until the money's in the bank is like this. Whenever you go to a store and you use your debit or your credit card and you swipe it, you want to see those 2 magical words. They say transaction approved. That's the same thing as the sale is complete and the money's in the bank. It's just, I just wrote it out longer because that's how I do it. But if you don't remember all that, if you remember transaction approved, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Because you don't get to, here's the thing, you don't get to leave the store until you, especially if you use your card, until you get that. Well, on the business side, your money is in the bank and you get to pay your people, you get to do ads, you get to expand when you can say all these sales have come through. I provided all these products. I provided all these services. I build my people and my money's in the bank. It's a great day.
I'm good to go. Yeah, I love that. And what's interesting is that so many people don't think about it like that, like new business owners in this space, which is why I know that your book is so valuable. Excuse me. It's because there's so much that small business owners just don't know about collecting their money that you do know. So I'm thankful that you put it together, but I want to ask you from a new writer's perspective. Like, I know that you've been in business for a while. You've been doing what you do. You've written all types of information of business stuff, right? But this is different. Writing a book is different.
It is.
Yeah, it's a different equation, right?
It's a whole world, baby. It's a whole world. And then there's more. And wait, look, how you all keep saying, and there's more. Like you know, when you finish, like when you first finish like your first sentences, and you're like, well, can you explain this a little bit better? Can you? Here's one. Sharai went through my stuff and she was like, can we come up with some better titles? My feelings was hurt. I was like, what do you mean some better? You know this. We talked about this. I was like, what do you mean can we have some better titles? I'm like, we talked about these titles. She was like, you need some better titles. So my feelings I was in my feelings for a minute, but I was like, all right, fine. I'm gonna figure out how to get some better titles. And now I got phenomenal titles now, but it took a minute to get there. Mm-hmm. You'll see. Mm-hmm. We're gonna talk about them too. But yeah, but the thing is, I mean, so to answer your question about, you know, the writing process, when you decide to write a book, I mean, and as part of it is because I listen to your live, you talk about it constantly. It's like, okay, I'm just not gonna be cool today. I'm just gonna decide I'm gonna write a book. No, you gotta have something that you're gonna bring into this space, this world, that can solve a problem or make a difference or bring inspiration. As Bishop T.D. Jakes says, be an answer. I think it's what you say. Be an answer. Be an answer. Be an answer. So for me to decide to tell my story, which goes like this. I used to work for a small IT company outside of Boston, where I'm from. I got hired as a part-time collector. I worked Monday through Friday, 4 to 8. You know how you get hired in a company? Hey, D, welcome aboard. Here's your cubicle. Here's your box. Here's your plant. Here's your list of accounts. I was like, okay. And they're like, we got $8 million worth of sales outstanding that we are owed. I was like, what? Y'all sold $8 million worth of IT, software licenses, computers, all this stuff, and nobody's collected this money. Nope. Okay. So my part of the story, which is in the book, which is, I talk about this all the time. So I said, all right, excuse me. I said, okay, I need to go talk to God. So my conversation with God kind of went like this. Hey, God. Yes, D. How are you? You know what, God? Overall, I'm great. But you know what? I got this $8 million problem and I don't know what to do. And I need a clue. So I got quiet. And what came up for me is that business to business collections is three things. It's problem solving, customer service, and the secret sauce is gratitude. And I collected 6 million after going to God and getting those three tips, those clues. I sat down with my cubicle and I said, okay. He told me problem solving, customer service, gratitude. So every time you get on the phone, you're solving the problem of what had happened was how come we didn't get paid. You work for the company, you're doing customer service. If we delivered the software licenses or whatever it was to you, did y'all get them? And is there anything else you're missing? Can we get that back? And then thanks for taking my phone call. Thanks for providing a copy of the invoice. Most importantly, thanks for cutting that check. Cool. Appreciate it. I started doing that over and over and over again. And I saw the money start to come in. I did $6 million in 60 days while working part-time, Monday through Friday, 4 to 8. Now, what makes me different than anybody else who does this is that the company that I worked for, the CEO says, listen, let's have a chat. Okay, I'm like, first I said no. Originally I was like, oh, we about to get a bonus. I'm like, I only collected $6 million. We about to get a bonus. No. We all come downstairs. He says, listen, I want to thank everybody that's across sales, contracts, order entry, invoicing, and my land collections. Appreciate everything you've done. Executive decision is made. We're closing the company. You got 30 minutes to go pack your little box and your stuff. Leave the building 2 months before Christmas. So why I am who I am about this is because I personally lived through this. I know what it's like to go work for a company. You thinking everything is straight. Or if you're a business owner and you don't manage your funds, you keep thinking, oh yeah, I got the sale. You're like, You got to make sure the sale is complete and the money's in the bank. So this whole collect the cash journey, writing the book, telling the story, pitching it, pitching it, the podcast, all that is because of my experience. And then thanks to you, Sharai, of putting it in a book, and now creating the story, the lessons, the tracking system, and then the collection zone. Oh, you know about the collection zone. We got a whole thing about the collection zone. You're gonna love that.
Okay. I love all of it. I love that you can, because for me, what I saw in that space and working with you was that you had a system, right? That there was a system that you created. And because of that loss, because of that snatch, that under rug sweat that happened to you, you saw an opportunity where we got to figure this out as business owners. Like, we can't rely on somebody else. We have to be able to stand on our own. And there's so much that you knew and learned from that experience and other experiences in the financial sphere that we as business owners just were completely oblivious to. So in my mind, I was like, I am your audience, right? I need to know these things. Tell me what else I'm supposed to do, D, so I don't get on the phone. So when somebody don't pay me my money, what do I got to say? What am I supposed to be prepared? How I got to have the invoice ready? What should I have in my invoice? How long do I get to date them? Like, there was so much information that you just was walking around with. I'm like, give us all of this. So I love that you were able to take that process and break it down simplistically into the pages of a book that now somebody else can take and they can consume and they can read this and they can be blessed and they can collect their coins and they can provide for their family and they can invest in their business, right? And they can then employ other people. So it just trickles down when we identify that what we have is not really just for us, right? That was a really crappy experience for you. But I love to say that our stumbling blocks become someone else's stepping stones every single time. Right? What we go through is for somebody else. So I'm just I'm so proud of you for seeing that and doing the work to make this real for somebody else, because it's life changing.
Well, it is, and then to hear, and it was even more life changing is to have you as a business owner, and when you hear the story, and then you see the system, and you're like, oh, hold up, you can teach us how to do this, how to not make a fool of ourselves. You give us tips on how to do this, and as you say, you've collected millions of dollars, but you can, whether it's millions of dollars or $5. It's the same process, but you can teach us how to do this. And like you said, I want y'all to win. I didn't know that was my why until we worked together. Like, seriously, like, because you pulled, like, as we kept going through the classes, you kept asking questions, and you're like, but you want us to win. Like, that's why you do this. You want, because of what you went through. It isn't just the fact, oh my gosh, I lost my job. No, you watch a whole company fall apart, and people's lives got impacted. And now you want to take that part and you want to teach us what not to do and what to do so that we don't end up like them. Exactly. Yeah. Well, and I didn't know that my story, here we go. Didn't know this was going to do all that. Yes. And then, there was like so many things that came out of that, like, confidence and growing, as you kept saying, well, you're brilliant. Well, it's like, when people think you're brilliant, you can take it one of two ways, because people are like, oh, you think you all that? Well, yeah, I do. But in this regard, I'm all that in God. I'm not all that in just me. I'm all that because of God. Mm-hmm. But it's a partnership. Me and God go together. We work together.
We tight. We like this, right? We
like this. And we do that.
And Nikki Giovanni says, show me someone who is not full of themselves, and I'll show you a hungry person. Right. So if you're not full, then if you're not full of that confidence, because that's God confidence. That's knowing that you've been given that you've been taken through something by him for a specific purpose and a reason. So that confidence, being full of that. And I remember seeing just falling in love with my pastor when I first met her years and years ago, because she was just so confident. And I was like, well, how do you know what you know? Yeah. How are you just like, this is what it is? And she was like, girl, because me and God, we talk all the time. And I was like, I want that kind of confidence. Right. I don't want to just be like, oh, I'm cute confidence. No, I want, like, I'm walking in what I'm supposed to be walking in confidence. I don't want to trip over my words. I want to speak boldly, with authority, with everything that I bring and deliver. And it's, for me, I love it because God is always like, I gave you that. So it's you're never going to run out. You're never going to be an empty vessel. I'm just going to keep pouring out. I'm going to keep pouring in. So I love that I get to do it in this space and to see it. And I always say this, I am no better or no different. So if I could take my life and my story and use it because I'm a nerd, I'm a writer. That's why it works this way. But for you, It's business, it's money, it's the books, it's the finance, right? It's the brilliance behind that makes all the difference in the world. And we need that. We absolutely need that.
And I think that was the thing for me, is you kept saying that, like you kept saying, we need this, D. There's nobody talking to us about this part, because you got people talking about business credit and personal credit and all kinds of other stuff. But you said nobody's talking to us about, tracking our accounts and making sure that, we are following up with, if we don't get paid, and if if something goes right, we can't go in like that. You're like, how do you do that and not go off? I'm like, well, let's see, I've had 20 years of experience of doing this, made some mistakes, learned, and then, like I said, my thing really shifted when I brought God in, for real. Because I did it by myself without him for a minute. It was like, yeah, no, this ain't working. Let me go talk to God. This ain't it. It's like Goldilocks. This one's too hot. This one's too cold. I finally got it right. I'm like, in the middle, because going to God and asking him, because he said, trust in me with all your heart and lean not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge me. I'll direct your path. I'll show you what to do. And there's a little book. The little book is actually called God's Creative Power for Finances. And in the book, it actually has a whole section on collecting accounts receivable. When I tell you that, and I was just learning about the power of affirmations when I worked for that company. Mm-hmm. I got that little book and that one scripture, and I read that it said that one scripture every single day before I went to work on collecting my accounts. And I was like, ooh, bringing God in on this, man, let's see what else I get to do. And from that day to this, that's a everyday part of it.
Every day.
Yeah.
I love it. So tell me this. Tell me, what is one thing that you can say that you learned about yourself during this process?
Oh gosh, I learned a lot. I learned number one, that I am a person of perseverance. I'm a person that if I make a commitment, I'm going to stick with it. That's one. Number two, I learned more of how to trust the process, because I did the double Dutch. Yeah, I did the double Dutch, but I learned more how to trust the process. And then I also learned that it was okay to ask for help. Mm-hmm. It was okay to ask for help. And I also learned it was okay to be vulnerable, to share my emotions, and to know that that's all part of it when you're doing something that's totally outside of your norm, when you're used to running stuff, being in charge, being in control, and you gotta come under somebody else, and then you sure, but you're not 100% sure. You still double dutching, but you're still showing up. And that's when I realized that this process, in some ways, is no different than our faith process. Because when you first come to God, somebody tells you, okay, you need to get your life right, and you're like, oh yeah, I think so. And then you're like, okay, you say the prayer, and you're like, I don't really know what I just said, but I'm gonna start this. Mm-hmm. I'm here, whatever, Mm-hmm. All right, we'll see. But then as you start showing up, like you start going to church and you start reading the word, and then you start listening to different teachers, and you finally found the person who speaks to you, and you're like, oh, so that's what this is about. All right, cool. Okay, I still don't fully get it, but I like the way you broke that down. I can get with that. And then you keep showing up. Well, in the same process, I didn't fully understand, although you see all these books behind me. I'm an avid reader, but no, for real, I am. I'm an avid reader. Like, one of my absolute favorite authors is and was Elin Harris. Absolutely one of my absolute favorite people. I got a chance to meet him. He was my frat brother. Cool guy. Every year he had one book that came out. I would wait like all year to get his book, and I would have to sit still and try to enjoy it for like a couple of days, because I knew I had to wait another year before the next book came out. So, but he taught me, he through his stories, he taught me something. On the other side, like the whole shelf is dedicated to him. Another shelf is dedicated to Joyce Meyer, another one of my favorite people, Bishop T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen, and others. But Elin Harris was one of the first people that I really just, his gift of telling stories, mm-hmm. and writing the stories and teaching lessons and building up these characters. I didn't know all that then like I do now, but I was like, it was just something about that I couldn't wait to get his book. And so, he did, he was a part of the journey. And then, now, like I said, coming here and taking your class, and then, learning all the different pieces and all the other, like there's a whole art to this. I mean, first is getting your writing down. Then there's the telling your story. Then there's getting the correction. Then there's the, okay, you gotta, sit down and write on Saturdays, and you got to submit your homework. And then you got to make sure that you figure out how to do this Google Doc thing, which I could not figure out. Me and Google Docs, we just didn't go together.
Like 5 copies of your manuscript. That's all. Yeah. It's like, which one is this? I'm not sure. Yeah.
But that's all part of it. Even making mistakes with Google Docs. Trying to figure out the titles. Trying to say something that makes sense, that you think is going to resonate, and then to get to the end of 90 days and feel like, what did I do here? You remember that conversation? I was like, what did we do? I'm like, I spent 90 days and I don't feel like I did anything. You're like, there's more. I'm like, okay, fine. It took a minute. It took a minute
to sink in. And I think it's because we think that it's going to magically, like the first time that you put it on paper, it's going to magically happen. I remember we were going through one of your chapters and I was like, all right, so you got this part out. Now you got to and you were like, I got to do more here. Yeah, we got to do more. We got to do more here. This is just, I was like, what? This is just the skeleton. Everything is in place. Right, everything is in order. We've mapped it all out. You've broken all your chapters down. I was like, but now we gotta put the meat in here. We gotta add that juiciness in there. So I do remember that conversation. He was like, what? What, Sharai? I'm like, we can't publish this. We gotta add some more stuff in there. So I'm glad that it's true.
Yeah, and I didn't know that, and and it's funny, even though because it's when you write a book, it's different from most people who might be listening. You may have gone to school, you may have done the bachelor's degree, master's degree, and you're thinking, sure, I know how to write. This is a whole different thing, because it's not. I mean, I've bachelor's, master's degree as well, and I remember writing my thesis, and I remember the first time I put that thing together. I submitted it to my professor. He was like, no. What? I was hot. I was hot. Yeah. Like, what? He was like, no, this ain't gonna work. And that sucker punch was like, are you kidding? He was like, no. But it was in that moment that I learned, okay, you have to go get help. So I went to one of my friends who was a professor, and I said, okay, what had happened was, after I'm wiping the tears away from my face, I'm like, man, this boy done said some stuff. He was like, okay, come here, sit down, sip this, let me see what are you trying to say. And he read it, and he was like, oh, you have, just like you said, you have all the content here. You just need to flip it. It needs to be, your things need to be questions, and then you need to answer the questions. Over lunch, he solved my whole thesis. I was able to get that done, and I was done. And my graduates, all my stuff was done a semester early. So so my last semester of getting my master's, I had one class. That was it. Done. And my thesis was submitted, approved a semester early.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's showing off. I don't know. Nobody's ever done that before. I was trudging through that master's thesis. Like, we're going to get to the finish line. I'm going to do this feature. I had stacks of books like this. I was doing, what was my research paper was on the Black intellectual, right? Yeah. I was doing research on the Black intellectual. So yeah, I think that there is so much to say about perseverance, though, right, in that space, because you could have taken that. I remember my first whooping in undergrad, right, and I've always been a writer. I've loved to write, so I got to my very last semester in undergrad, and I had a Professor Mara, and we had to write some short stories, and I turned in my short story, and he tore it up. Now, mind you, I've been getting straight A's in writing since forever, right? It's always been my thing. get a bad grade in an English class. I was like, what is this? I was like, this dude, he got to fire. I'll fire him because he don't know what he's doing. But he was just like, listen here, young lady, you're good and all that, but you're missing some key pieces in this type of writing, right? He's like, this isn't poetry. This isn't, for your, as I've been writing for the newspaper since high school. So this isn't journalism. He's like, this is a short story. You're giving me a scene. There are elements that you're missing. And I was like, so I'm good, but I'm missing the elements, like what's necessary for this type of writing, right? So it's this specific thing. Okay, well, if I could understand what has to go into this genre type, then I can fill that need. And then going into my graduate studies and understanding that people come to learn how to write differently, I was like, so if I teach business owners, right? If I teach people with the story and with the message, how that want to help other people, how to write that type of book, how that works, if I get you to see that you are the authority, that you're the badass coming into this equation, that you're the boss coming into this equation, we could change the game.
Yeah.
I can change the game. I'm gonna do that. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna just walk in the calling and do that. So I'm glad to see that it's been a benefit and a blessing to you in this space. So I want to ask you, my next question for you is out of this experience, what would you say is your biggest takeaway from the writing process, the process of writing? And now let's big you up for a minute about getting to the finish line, being a published author. So both, what are your biggest takeaways?
So biggest takeaway number one is that before you decide to write, I think you need to do what I did, which is actually find somebody that you like, that you can listen to, that you're willing to learn from. Because if I hadn't done that part, we wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, that's just that. I mean, I believe that because I think a lot of people kind of jump out here and they're writing and they've not spoken to anybody about something. They've just got this idea that they're just spinning about. And here's the thing: you can't Google everything. You just can't Google everything.
And then there's so much bad information out here too, D. I'll go off on a tangent about that, so I'm gonna shut up. But go ahead. I'm sorry, because that
don't be sorry. You're fine. But no, because I think what it is, so. What I learned from the process, about this process is, number one, if you want to be better at whatever it is that you do, you have to go invest in you. And there's time, there's energy, there's money, there's wine, or whatever you sip on, whatever your thing is. Because Sharai told us every Saturday, get your right wine. Get your wine. So listen. So part of my thing now is red wine is part of my thing. But my point is that, seriously, you have to invest time, energy, and money. Number two, you have to check people out. It's, to me, it's no different. This is probably not the best example, but it's just like when you go to buy a car. You don't buy the first car that you see. Don't you normally go to the dealership and you check out a few different cars? You take it for a test drive. You have your list of things of what you want. And this, if you roll up on the lot and something don't look like, you're like, I'm not shopping here. This vibe ain't this ain't the one. You go someplace else. Well, in the same vein, before you decide to write your book, I think you need to go listen to people who talk about this. Go experience them and go see if their style of teaching works for you. Investigate them. Ask the question. If they offer you a meeting to meet with them one-on-one, go talk to them and find out. And then sometimes you do have to be willing to take a risk. You have to bet on you and give and trust you and trust the process. And then, okay, at the end of it, what's the absolute worst that could happen? You don't get your book done. Okay. Or better yet, how about you get your book done? At least you get the starting of the book, and then you have to learn the rest of the process. And then there's like a whole nother life that comes after this. I'm like, there's all this other stuff. Yeah.
Can we talk about the other stuff?
Sure. We sure can. Go for it.
I want you to tell me about the other stuff, D. Two things. This is me getting excited. One,
yes,
you held up your book more than once, but I want to talk for a second. That just came in the mail. You said yesterday?
Yeah. So this is the proof. This is the proof. But yeah, the actual, like, the the first batch of the books that I've ordered came in the mail yesterday. So this is officially Collect the Cash.
So I cried. Right,
Yes.
the first batch of books that came to my house, Simon & Schuster sent me my first 50 books, and I cried. My mom cried.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you feel?
I have cried, absolutely. I mean, I've already had the big boo-hoo, and I feel I had that because it was like, wow, this, it wasn't just, getting the books. It was the tears came from looking at that. I've been at this journey for a year. I started with you last April. The book comes out in April. So I've been on this journey for a whole year. From me, watching you on lives, to finally, deciding to have a meeting, to taking the class, to doing the work, to getting to the end of 90 days and feeling like, what the hell? I don't know what I just did. I don't feel like I got anything. I don't, and I, I'm not saying it in a bad way, but I feel like I don't have anything. I'm like, what did I do? Because I couldn't see what you saw. We talked about this. I said, I couldn't see what you saw. And you're like, well, there's more. Like you have to, now that you have like the skeleton, you got to go get a writing coach, and you got to go get help with developing the next part. I can help you with that, or you can get somebody and come back and this and that. And I'm like, okay. And then I had to grow into this, because I had to trust that what I had to say, beyond you telling me, but I had to see it for me, that what the gift that God gave me around collecting money and teaching business owners how to do this and do it successfully, that I could stand in that, and that it's the truth, and that when people challenge me about, did you really collect that money? Did you really get featured in Forbes? Did you really do this? Yeah, all that. Yes.
Did you really get featured in Forbes? Can we pause there for a second and
we can
celebrate that? I mean, tell me about that. What is that experience like? Congratulations again. When you let me know, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So tell me about being featured in Forbes.
So another of those. What had happened was, literally, I went to a vision board party last year with one of my sorority sisters, and on my vision board is one word, Forbes. There's a stack of money, and then there's the word Forbes. It had gone all the board. I see the board every day all year. And then my coach is on here, Coach Tawana, and I was talking to her about it, and I said, I think I want to do this. And she was like, well, you got to pitch yourself. And I'm like, not sure about this, but okay, fine. So just like submitting under you with the writing piece, and submitting under her with the, well, you have to pitch yourself. And so what had happened was, one of my buddies had just been featured in Forbes, and she's in the financial world. So I sent her a note. I'm like, hey, congratulations. How did you do this? And she's like, oh, I have this person. And she said, oh, how about I make an introduction? I'm like, cool. So she made the introduction. And then the person that actually interviewed me for Forbes actually is a CFO, is a chief financial officer. So if I worked in corporate, she would have been she would have been my big boss. So I asked her a simple question. I said, do you ever talk about collecting the cash, accounts receivable in Forbes? And she was like, no. And she's like, what's your idea? I literally said to her, have you ever considered what had happened was in collections? She bust out laughing. For real. This is a for real story. She bust out laughing. She was like, let's talk about it. So we have a conversation, and I tell her the story about collecting the money. I talk about, the 3 things that I've learned. And I talk about how accounts receivable in business, whether it's small, medium, large, government agencies, which is what I work with, how AR is basically, neglected all the time, and how people just don't want to deal with it. They would rather go get a root canal than have to ask somebody to pay them for their bills. Look, it's just the truth. And I know this because I deal with government agencies that have millions of dollars that sit uncollected because don't nobody want to have to go get into the weeds and untangle that. So, and she was like, I like your story. And then I showed her my phone, and I said, do you see my vision board on my phone? And I said, do you see the word Forbes? She was like, oh my gosh. And she says, well, I have to write, I have to finish the interview. I have to write this up, and I have to pitch. You pitch to me. I have to pitch it to Forbes. And if Forbes says yes, then it will be published. And God graced me that she said yes. And then Forbes said yes. And December 22nd, 2020, I got featured in Forbes.
Congratulations, Dee. That is amazing. That's awesome. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Congratulations to you. That's what I love about that is that there is that the like you said, like I said before to you, is that this is what we learned in the program together, right? It's like the foundation. Right? I can give you as much as I possibly can. I'm gonna give you everything I have in working with you, but you're gonna still, it doesn't stop. Right. Once you enter into this space of being an authority, it doesn't stop. You're going to keep being this person. You're going to keep pushing yourself to the next limit. You're going to go out for the next thing. You are going to pitch yourself to numerous magazines, to numerous publications, right? You're going to go speak and present and teach. You're going to do all of these things. So as you enter into these new spaces, I love what you said. Keep all of these in mind, to persevere, to trust the process, to ask for help, to be vulnerable in all of these new spaces, because it's almost, when you are walking with a humble heart and you know that your heart is positioned to serve people, it's inevitable for the blessings to pour on you. It's going to happen, but you got to be in position, right? You got to be in position and you got to be doing the work. You can't be sitting on the sideline like, well, I don't know what happened. She told me I would have a book and I don't know. And I didn't do the work. It's like, no, you got to keep going. You got to keep going. It's going to be tough. It's going to be challenging. It's not going to feel comfortable all the time. It's going to be what the heck is this?
Yeah, it's that part. It's the what the heck part that it's the what the heck part that you have to face it and then get on the other side of it. You got to get on the other side of it. We wouldn't be having this conversation today. Trust and believe, this book would not be done if I hadn't got on the other side of the what in the world. And me as an author, you as an author, and others who are authors. Part of this process is you learn how to tell your story, figure out that you have a story, and you figure that out by presenting that to somebody who can tell you, yep, this makes sense, or this ain't gonna work, and here's why. And then you either decide if it doesn't work, what can you do with the parts that might work? Because you might not have a story, you might not have a book, maybe you have a course. Maybe you have a checklist. Maybe you have something else, but you don't have that. Or you have to go back to school and take some classes so you can develop yourself, and then you can come back and say, okay, I took these writing classes and now I've got this. Is this better? There's that part. Because you can't just expect that because you have this idea that it's just going to be the thing. Because here's the thing. Everybody and his brother, we were talking about books. Okay, we got all the books behind me. I know you've got a whole library, and when you go into the bookstore, everybody who writes a book, no matter what section is in it, you got self-help, you got finance, you got eating, you got cooking, you got sports, whatever. Everybody writes the book because they feel like their story is the best story ever. What they learned about that process of eating or dieting or saving money or snorkeling or whatever it was, that's the story that they believe is going to change the world. But here's the thing, the world it changes is you. You're the person that changes. Yes, it's you that changes.
That's so good. I taught today in our live coaching call for the writers, and was talking to them about how I feel like I'm trying to force brilliance upon you, right? Like, because so many people come in different places and they know that they got this good, valuable information, but there are some people who don't, and you don't realize like it's a combination of who you are, but also doing some more research, becoming wiser, becoming more knowledgeable. And those two things together, your passion, your desire to help other people, and then building that authority, that expertise into it by doing research, that is what makes all the confidence, all the difference in the world. So I love that you say that, because it's such a difference. For me, I feel like I'm always saying to the writers, this is going to make you better, right? Yes. This process, yes, you're going to have a finished book at the end of it, but you're going to know how to stack your argument. You're going to recognize how confident, how powerful you are. You're going to be able to own and dominate this space. I remember one of the writers went through the program and she did the research portion. And she went to a conference not too long after, and she came back and was like, Sharai, I was the smartest person in the conference. She said, I knew everything. I knew everything about my topic. There wasn't a thing that somebody could have asked me. She said, I felt like I was on fire. I never felt so alive before. And she said, I was like, well, I know this. Oh yeah, statistics say, and research says, and did you know? She said, oh my gosh, it was amazing. That's what I want. I want everybody to be like that, because you can't take this book and just go, all right, now tell me about your life experience and how you raise money, D, and that's it, right? There has to be, well, how do I do that? Well, tell me, how do we do that? And teach me this. What's the framework for how we get to this end result? Yeah. So we have to not just take our experiences and give it to people and hope that it makes sense and resonates with them. It's like, no, here's my experiences, what I learned from those things, and I'm gonna teach you how to level up. That part. So it's the how we combine those pieces makes all the difference in the world, and you become better for it.
And first of all, thank you for that. And you what you just shared, that's what you offered us, and we had the choice to take you up on your offer, and then see where it would go. And I'm like, look, and here's the thing. Going through your writing class, actually, and then getting my story out there, and then working with you, and then working with my other coach, and then, like I said, having the vision board, and then having the guts to decide. I mean, Forbes is on my board. It's just one word, Forbes, and then having the guts to go after it, and just to find this lady, and I didn't know her, and decide to and I talked to her about it, and I said, if I worked in corporate, you are a CFO, you're a chief financial officer. And so when I told her my story about how I reported to a CFO, she was like, oh, it makes sense. I'm accounts receivable. She was like, yeah. And when I broke it down, she was like, you know this? Yeah, I know this part. And I broke it down. But here's the thing: I break it down with humor, and I turned it into what had happened was. And here's the thing: everybody who's listening, everybody's got one of those what had happened was stories. I don't care what you do. Everybody got one. You take your car in for an oil change. The boy puts it up on the lift. You're like, look, Miss Robbin, you got your brake pads issues, your tires got thing. You're like, what had happened was I planned on doing an oil change at $50, and $400 later, I got this bit extra stuff.
What had happened was,
and the what had happened was, is the problem that we're trying to solve. Everybody who comes in to business, everybody who sits down and says, I want to create a business. I want to be the best in selling hair, braiding hair, cutting hair, being a manicurist, whatever. You decide you're gonna do this, and your belief that what you do, what you say, what you offer can solve this problem. You believe that, and then you get out here, and then when life knocks you down, it's what do you have to get back up for? And why are you going to get back up? Now, you are a mom. You got 2 kids. So I know, I don't know all your story, but I know part of your why is your 2 kids.
It's my girls.
Right. So you're getting up to get after it is them. And obviously now you're a business owner and all the other things. My why to get back up after it was after working for this company and losing my job. How about this? And I talk about this in the book, working for a company and I got fired. And I tell the story in the book about how I got fired because the boy said, I don't know how to collect money. I'm like, dude, are you serious? He said to me, you don't know how to collect money, and you don't know how to close out government contracts. Well, here's what's hilarious. From that, after getting knocked down, getting the wind knocked out of me, having to get myself back up again, I said, okay, I don't know how to do this. Bet. Got you. So I go on, exactly, watch me. So I go to work for the second largest U.S. transportation system in the United States. I'm a contract file auditor. I get recognized 4 times for that. I go on to work for the United States Coast Guard headquarters, y'all. Recover $7.5 million in 1 year and have a letter to certify that I know how to collect money, that I know how to recover money for government agencies, period. So the clown who fired me, thank you, because you did me a favor. You did me a favor. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much.
Much love.
I love it. I think one of the things that you touched on just now is, for me, like that purpose, right? That why. And I always encourage writers too. One of the things that I say that you can do that's helpful is when you establish what your why is, stick it somewhere. slap it somewhere, put it on a board, put it on your dry erase board, print it out, look at it, right? Come back to it. Let it remind you of what you're doing in this space. Why are we here? Why do we want to write this book, right? It's because you want to help somebody. You want to help them do what? You want to help them get out of poverty. You want to help them get out of debt. Like, what is the why behind that? And if we can keep coming back to why we're here, why we're doing this in the first place, then we can find strength in that, right? That can continue to encourage us and motivate us. For me, of course, my daughters are my why, but you are my why. The writers in the Write Your Book, Build Your Brand program now are my why, right? They're the reason why I'm inspired, I'm motivated to see and to know all of the years of just having my nose in a book and taking all these writing classes for it to come to this culmination, right? Yeah. In this space where it's like, this is what you do, right? This is, you help people do this and not just write a book. It's not just, I helped write a book. It's so much more than that. And so that for me is like, that is a big why for me. It's why I'm excited in the mornings. It's why I look forward to teaching. It's because I know that I'm positioned here for a purpose. And there are people who are, I'm not gonna say they won't receive it from other people, but they're highly likely to receive it from me for some reason, right? God's got me in this position for some reason. So I'm thankful for that. And I know that it works the same way, right? For you, that people will receive your gifts from you because it's you. Because you say it a certain way, because of how you articulate it, because of how Dee breaks it down. And that makes all the difference in the world. So I'm excited for you in that space. And I want to ask, you know, what's next for you? What do you have going on next now that Collect the Cash is out here?
Wow. Well, it was so funny as you were saying that. Before I answer that question, I was just going to say to you that the writing process also teaches you discipline.
Oh yeah.
The writing process teaches you discipline. Because when you first roll up in the Sharai Robbin court, you feel like, oh yeah, I'm disciplined. I'm gonna do this. And then you sit still for me, you're like, nope, not doing this. Mm-hmm. And then
I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it. You go through this because I think people need to understand that to write a book of quality, because you got people out here that are promoting, they're doing the I Dream, I call it the I Dream of Genie book, drop a book and you just got this, you slap a cover on it and you got it. But, going through your process, you were like, no, what's your why? I need you to understand the writing, that you can create other products from this, that this is not, that you can actually become a speaker, you can become a teacher, you can do a podcast, you can write for magazines, you can create different streams of income over time, but you got to first come up with a message that's going to be worth reading, that people are going to want to learn from you. Yeah. And that this is going to be something that when you finally get this, get past the first couple of stages of writing it and then editing and then writing and editing and writing and editing, and then finally, you get it back and you get one more red mark. You're like, man, are you serious? Again? Another one? Dang. That part. But here's the thing. You can't run away from your emotions from that part. You asked me when I learned how to let myself feel what I felt, because I was like, what the okay. But then, because I've been through graduate school and because I had my thesis rejected and I had to go get help and go get it turned around, it was like, okay, I got to go get help to figure out what am I not getting here. And then you can't be afraid to ask the questions. If you're investing the time, energy, and money with this person, you have to feel comfortable enough to ask questions. And then, if you need it broken down, in bite-sized chunks so that you get what you need so you can keep going. Now, we did 90 days. I took a break, and then a buddy of mine said, "What are you working on?" I said, "Well, I just did this 90-day course, and I think I got a book." She was like, "Let me see." And she was like, "No, you got starts of a book. You don't have a book yet." And we started talking, and so I was blessed to work with her. So she came alongside of me, and then I took a publishing course. I took the person who the company who published my book is called Pen Legacy, and she actually, her name is Sharon Monet. She actually had a course that she taught about about publishing and, and that thought. And I was like, okay, so when I say I invested in myself, the time, energy, money, like I invested with you, I invested with my writing coach, I invested with Sharai to learn about publishing and like, what is all involved in this. And so then when I took her class and she said, okay, I'd be, I'd like your story. I'd be interested in publishing your book. That was another, okay, more classes, more training, more conversations. Okay. And then, and she's also an editor and then it was her team that designed the book and helped me to get this together. Cause I had gone to Fiverr trying to get my little book cover and I gave it to her. She was like, no.
Not this one.
But no, this, no, ma'am, no, sir. So, and then I had to trust her process and then, work through, more things to, learn this. Cause it was, because here's the thing, when, you're a publisher, you publish book, when you publish the book, you're saying that this content is worthy of being under my umbrella or the company's umbrella. You're saying that this is good stock. So I had to go through a few sessions with, well, I said this, no, that didn't work. Try this, go back. So there was a lot of, back and forth, between submitting things to her. And she was like, no, we need to get on the phone and talk. Go back to the writing coach. Okay. She said this doesn't work. She wants this. I don't understand. All that constantly. But here's the thing. I was determined that I was going to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I made up my mind, I said, I'm going to get this done. And so I had to, pull on the strength that I've always had, which is my faith, number one. But number two, like I said, after, if you've gone to graduate school and you've had your thesis rejected, you got to find something to make you go dig in, because you want to eventually. For me, collecting the cash was collecting the cash is equivalent to crossing the stage, getting in my regalia and then, getting my hood and moving my tassel from the left to the right. That part. It's that part. Because people who haven't gone to school don't understand that. They don't understand, all the blood, sweat, and tears to finally get your gown, to get hooded, and then get your hat and then move your tassel. That's an experience that culminates all the hard work. Well,
everything.
Say it again.
I was saying just everything that you've done. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so collect the cash is now the culmination of my course with you, and then getting a writing coach, and then taking another class, and then working with the publisher, and going through the rounds of getting stuff right, and then asking all the questions, and finally getting the design right, and finally getting the graphic right, and then finally getting the typesetting right, and finally getting all the things. So she finally says, yes, this we can publish, and here you go. That part.
Congratulations again, D. Congratulations again, D. I'm so proud of you, because there, like you said, there's a lot of pieces, there's a lot of moving parts. And for me, listening and watching and going through the process with you, there are things that we, even now in the program, that we've changed and added and moved around a bit. And you're still in the group, so I know you can see all the different things that we've added into the program, because you can see where people will still have needs and what needs to happen and continue. So I'm so glad for you that you kept going, right? That it wasn't like, okay, I have this draft and I have everything that's here, but I still need some more nurturing. I still need some more tweaking in this space. So I'm thankful for you here, because someone else who didn't have that perseverance would have been like, okay, well, either two things. I'm going to publish it as it is, which would have just been a tremendous scary thing. Or they would have quit, right? They would have quit. And I'm glad that you continue to push through to see it through the end, because now you are a successfully published author, and you've been featured in Forbes, and you can teach this, and you can multi-purpose this, and then you can teach courses and workshops and seminars, and you can do so many things with this message, because you know exactly what it is, and you know exactly how to position it, and you know exactly who you are in this space. So I'm so excited for you and all that's coming for you as you continue to walk in all of your godly glory. So I do want to ask, right, if for other writers out there, right? Is there any specific advice that you would give aspiring authors now that you've come through the process?
Yes. Take Sharai's course. without a question.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you listen, unequivocally, take Sharay's course. You'll be like, oh, D, you're biased. Yeah, I am. and understandably unbiased, because first of all, I would tell you, number one, you have to make a decision, because when you whatever you decide you're going to do, you have to make a decision. That's the first thing, because whenever you decide that you want your life to change, it all starts with a decision. Mm-hmm. You do the decision, and then you do the. So it's almost like this. Your hand, if I can figure out my hand, but your hand's here, and then you got your other hand here, and you the decision is here, and then you got to go like this to get them eventually to do this part. But everything in life starts with a decision. It starts with a decision. So if you're an aspiring writer, you think you want to write. You think you got a story to tell. If Sharai says, I'm having an open house, or I'm having those when you can come talk to me, get on her calendar and talk to her and tell her what you're thinking about. And she'll give you the honest truth. And she'll tell you, yep, this makes sense, or mm-mm. And if it doesn't, don't stay in your feelings about it. Ask her why, so you can glean from her brilliance in this space, so you can figure out, what are you going to do? Or what do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm. And sometimes, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just going to say, sometimes in the position of influence, it's like you can see what others can't, right? So I can see, as an editor for 20 years, I can see the value in the story. I can see the message. I told some of the writers the other day, there's only words, right? So when you're writing and you skip over something, or you don't tell us something, I can see when you're hiding. Right. We can see when you've omitted something. It's very clear that there's something missing in this space. So you definitely want to submit yourself to getting the direction.
No, you said it right the first time. Subject. You got to do both.
Yes. Listen, my coach kicked my butt. I was so like, this week she tore me up. I was like, oh my God, this woman, who is the, why did I, and I paid for this. Like, like, what's wrong with me? What? I paid her to tell me I didn't do what I'm supposed to do. Like, what in the world? Yes, like it was.
And see that right there, because it's a hard concept that you're going to spend your money to have somebody tell you what to do. But here's the thing: everybody that we admire who's brilliant has a coach. Every single one of them. And as a matter of fact, they got most of when they've elevated, they've gotten more than one.
Multiple. Mm-hmm.
And you need that. As a matter of fact, Jesus, Almighty God, God's Son, who was his coaches? The disciples. Boyfriend had 12 of them. He had 12 of them. I mean, he's Almighty God, and he was in flesh. But the point is, he had a crew too. He didn't execute God's plan by himself. He had 12 people. Mm-hmm. Then he had his close 3, but he had 12 that they did life together. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying to you is that whether you believe or not, this ain't about whether you believe or not. The point is that if you expect to do better, grow, manifest things, you have to get yourself associated with people that are further along than
Absolutely.
You have to. There's a friend of mine. Her name is Cheryl Williamson. Is my friend and my sorority sister. She's one of the people that's been in my corner, that's been encouraging me and featured me in her magazine. She's got a brand new magazine. Yeah, I'm in the office corner. What?
Yeah, she's pretty dope. I've been following her for a little while now. Yeah, I like her. That's not. Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah,
well, Cheryl has a magazine. I mean, Cheryl has a magazine. It's actually called Cheryl's Magazine, and she said, "I'm going to create this section called the Author's Corner. Here's an opportunity for you." Done. Thank you. And it's the premier magazine. Are you kidding me? What? Right. But see, there all these blessings and opportunities have come because, number one, I mean, I honor God, and I don't nothing happens in my life without saying thanks to God. That's how it rolls. Secondly, I do the work. You want to learn something from me? Do the work. Do the work and express your gratitude. That's why gratitude is above my head. It's a gratitude. It's a simple thing. I'm telling you, it is that. And then here's the thing. I wouldn't be in the author's corner if I didn't have a book, if I didn't have anything to say. If I hadn't taken your course, it all goes together. But and I think also because of COVID, when God shut the world down and tell everybody, listen, I'm gonna put y'all on timeout. I was like, well, if I'm gonna be in timeout, I need to come out of timeout with something done.
Yeah.
So my timeout, I use my timeout to write my book, to declutter my house, to create new things, and then allow and then say it again.
Get featured in Forbes.
Yes, baby, get featured in Forbes. Come through now. What?
That's amazing. So here's the funny thing for me is like I felt like the pandemic was. I'm not gonna say it was for me because I don't mean to say it like that, but I can say I felt like it was very much a pause, right? It was like putting everything on pause because I had work to do. And on my vision board, there's 2 words, and they came together in some magazine, and they're the words BAE Systems, right? BAE Systems. And I was like, okay. And at the time,
BAE Systems, that's a company.
So
that's a company. I used to work for them. That's crazy. I sure did. They're a government contractor. I used to work. I did some work for them. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
That's crazy. So, but at the time, I had just started to build out the literary bays about 2 years ago. So when I saw that, I cut it out and was like, we need this. So over the last year, I have been working on and building our BAE systems, right? Perfecting what we do, and even into the program now. So the BAEs are support in Write Your Book, Build Your Brand now, so that we can offer more support, more critique, more writing in that space. But that for me, like that was that pause in 2020. It was like, let me slow things down so that you can do what you need to do behind the scenes, so you can serve more people, because we could go boldly into 2021. So I'm as much as I was like, what in the pandemic, it was also like, it gave me a chance to get a lot of things taken care of that were on my vision board as well. So write the vision, y'all, make it plain, put it down on paper.
So you can run with it. But BAE Systems is a government contractor that I used to work for. So that
is so funny.
I'm telling you.
Absolutely on my vision board, BAE Systems. And we have built last year the literary BAE Systems. That's what we've been building. That's amazing too.
Yeah, it is. And it's so funny. So you asked me a question about what's next. So what's next is, number one, I am just like over the moon the fact that we got to do this conversation. I am so grateful for you and so much. I already told you a lot of that stuff privately. So thanks. Secondly, the first batch of the books have come in. So I'll be actually signing books and mailing them out. So my first batch goes out tomorrow. So I'm super excited about that. Third, my actual official launch date when it's officially in the world is April 2021. So me and my bestie are going to New York for the day to celebrate, and we're gonna do that. And then there'll be a cool surprise when I get to New York. So I'm super excited about that too.
Me too.
And then after that, well, actually, what's next? I will be speaking at Howard University this coming Saturday.
Nice.
For their women's virtual leadership panel, and I get to talk about relationships and business and collect the cash.
And you're gonna have plenty of books, right? And you're gonna have books. Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm talking about.
I'll have the link. I have the link so they can buy them online. Definitely.
Yeah.
And then I've applied to speak for the Association of Financial Professionals, their national conference. So when you said there was all of these things, what's amazing to me is a year ago I didn't see myself speaking. I didn't see myself as an author. I didn't see myself writing for Forbes or being featured in Forbes. I didn't see any of this, but deciding to tell my story, deciding to bet on me and tell my story. And I actually have to give a shout out to Dr. Cheryl Wood, because of Dr. Cheryl Wood, who gave me my first shot. Dr. Cheryl Wood is a part of how this happened, because Dr. Cheryl Wood Dr. Cheryl Wood had me on her radio show in 2019. Mm-hmm. And she said, "What do you do?" And so I told her, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna have you on my show. So she gave me 30 minutes to tell my story, and we talked about it, and she validated all my points. And then she had a book actually called Entrepreneur Elevation, which is right here, and I'm a co-author in the book. But Dr. Cheryl Wood is is part of how I got here, because she gave me my first shot to tell my story on her radio show, and then said, I'm going to do this book for entrepreneurs. So before I got to Collect the Cash, I had to do my chapter in Entrepreneur Elevation. She goes, she said the same thing you said. You can teach business owners how to manage their money, what to do. So shout out to Dr. Cheryl Wood for giving me my shot and helping me to get started on this path. Go ahead.
So I think that we owe Cheryl a lot. I think that we all do. So let's give this woman her roses, because it all comes full circle. We were at a conference together some years ago, Cheryl and I think I may have told you this story, or maybe I didn't, but she definitely was a catalyst for me doing Facebook Lives. Right. Yeah. And I've been a writer, been editing, been coaching, and we were going to lunch, and she was like, Cheryl, you're good at what you do. And I was like, I'm real good at what I do. And she was like, so good, huh? You're super confident. And I was like, yeah, I'm great at what I do. She was like, so good, you could probably do it with your eyes closed, huh? I was like, eyes closed and tied behind my back. She was like, sound like you too comfortable to me. I said, oh. We just met. Excuse me, lady. Excuse me, lady. I'm sorry. What? And she was like, yeah, how come you're not talking about what you do? You're not on lives. Like, I seen you on lives, and you talk about your family, talk about your life, but you are brilliant at what you do. Talk about what you do. Share it. And this had to be, my God, maybe 4 years ago. That this happened. And she really challenged me. And we laughed about it maybe, oh boy, the world was shut down. So maybe a year ago when we were at another conference, and I told her this story, and she thought it was cracking up. I'm like, but it was such a catalyst for me to get up and to get out of my comfort zone from behind my desk and just working, to actually letting the world know that I know a lot, and I'm good at a lot. So I think that we definitely owe Cheryl some love, some hugs, because it all comes full circle, right? The reason why you even saw me on lives had to do with that nudge from her to get your butt up and go ahead, get on, do some lives or something. She was like, what? You're too comfortable to me. It's like, oh,
yeah,
me.
Use me. Right.
My God.
And then like I said, so yeah, there's a I think I still have the graphic, and her she had a radio show, and she was like, it was me and Dr. Green were on there. And so I told her about the same story. I've only had one story I talk about, working for that company, what had happened to me and the whole nine, and then what I've learned from that. And then she's like, oh, this is good. And then she had Entrepreneur Elevation come up, and she was like, you can do a chapter in this book and you can teach people. And she's been, one of my cheerleaders, in that regard. And so, yeah, so it's pretty amazing that she, and that's the thing, I think, in terms of writing a book and being on Facebook Live and starting to speak, I think when you first get out here and you start doing this, a lot of times it doesn't make sense. You're like, I'm not real sure about telling this story. Don't nobody want to hear this. And then what's funny is that if you'll just get started, you have no idea, the places that God will take you if you will just get started. I showed up at the radio station. I told my story. I brought her, as a matter of fact, I brought her a thank you card, and I brought her a pen, and she loves pens. I said thank you.
Gratitude.
Gratitude. I'm telling you. I told her thank you. And then we've gone on from there. And then it's just like, but you won't know what is on the other side of your comfort zone if you won't get out of it.
Yeah.
I'm wearing purple today. I have been a black, brown, and blue person. Like, my colors have been black, brown, and blue. Somebody told me, I need you to wear some different colors. And they challenged me to do colors. So I was like, all right, I'm doing purple today. I did purple.
It looks good.
Thank you. Got my charm bracelet with my favorite things of Ferris wheels and smooth jazz, saxophone.
That's right.
So as a matter of fact, so you said what's up for me? I'll tell you what's up for me. I'm going to I plan to go out to the National Harbor and do a Facebook Live from the Ferris wheel with Collect the Cash.
I know that's right. Yep. I love the Ferris wheel.
Yeah. So you're the one in Atlanta. Man, that's awesome. So I'm doing that. I have actually, I'm hoping to get, I'm going to put a shameless plug in, Mahogany Books here in DC. I've already submitted my information, so I'm hoping that I can actually get featured by the bookstore. And,
when you do.
Yep.
Yeah, when you do, we're gonna receive that already right now. When it happens.
Okay, when I get featured by Mahogany Books, yep. So they're gonna do a feature on me about Collect the Cash, and then that's as far as I got right now. I think yeah.
Yeah, but it's infinite. It's endless, right? As long as you stay in motion and stay in action. So yep. I'm glad. I'm super excited for you, D. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I want to know. So the last thing that I want to ask you too, before we go, because I gotta get moving. Is one, how can people, well, two things, right? I want to say this. You said that you're going to be teaching, you're going to be speaking at Howard, right? So then my business mind kicked in and it's like, okay, you have a link for them to get, to pre-order the book. Do you have lead captures? Do you have a way to collect information while you're speaking?
I should, yes.
Yeah,
if I don't, I think the people who's the person who's the moderator, yes.
So I would say don't rely on them,
yep.
Right? Let's get you, you can do a text to join kind of thing, and then give people a keyword. So right now in the audience, take out your phone, take a text this number to this, to this number. That way you can collect information from everybody right then and there. You don't want to wait for, it to go through somebody else's hands. You can have a freebie. They can get the first couple pages. They can get a free pre-sale link or anything that you want to give away to incentivize them. Text them that number. That's a great way for you to capture information from the stage. So it's also, you can do take a moment and do a social media moment. Everybody take your phone out, take a selfie, hashtag collect the cash or whatever you want to do. And while you got your phones out, text collect the cash to this number. And that way you can collect you want everybody in the room, everybody. Okay, don't let nobody leave without giving you the email. Okay,
gotcha.
So that's that part.
Yeah, we're doing it virtually. So yeah, we should be able to do that. But I have
do that too.
I'll follow up with that. I just have to abide by the rules of the presenters that day. So
this is true. You gotta play by their rules. But if you can, this is what I'm just trying to say. Okay, so our next question for you is, how do people stay connected with you? Right? How do people? Yeah.
Well, how you stay connected with me is on Facebook here, and what you should do, and I'm going to recommend you do right now, is go to www.collectthecash.biz/book. That's www.collectthecash.biz/book. The book is still available right now through pre-sales, and once it goes live on Amazon in April, I'm not going to have control over me being able to sign it. Right now, if you get it from me, you actually get a personal autographed copy from me. So go to www.collectthecash.biz/book. And once you once your orders are coming in, books are going out. Like my first 25 books are going out tomorrow, and I think there's another 50 books that are coming, and they're out. And the people, and a special shout out to everybody that's already done pre-sales, and then the pre-sales and more pre-sales, and then special thanks to you, Sharai, for your endorsement to Sharai Robbin, to Cheryl Pillett Williamson, to Renee Myers, to Eva Jane Buckley, and who am I missing? I'm missing somebody. Oh, and Dr. Cassandra Bradford for writing the foreword. Those all Black women, all powerhouses in my life, all my friends who said, "You gonna write this book? Oh yeah, we're gonna support you. Yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do that part."
Well, congratulations again. I'm so happy for you. It's
too.
A pleasure. Know you, to support you. We're going to continue to be in relationship. I think that's the best thing about working with people who you genuinely click with. It doesn't feel like work, right? It feels very much like this. Now I get to just celebrate you. I get to just be just cheering for you as loud as I possibly can. So I'm excited for all of the good stuff that's coming your way. And anything else that you ever need from me, I'm always yours, D.
Likewise, I appreciate that, and I get to celebrate you too. I mean, you're doing some amazing things, and the fact that BAE Systems, now that's the coolest thing ever. That's the company, that's a government contractor, and I know what your BAE stands
for. I'd seen BAE places, but I didn't know what it was. I was just like, okay, but then I saw it in the magazine, BAE Systems. I was like, I need that.
Yep.
Vision board. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, you know, when I would tell people, you know, vision boards, I'm telling you, those things are life changing. I'm telling you, if you can, it's more. And here's the thing. Here's the takeaway. It isn't just cutting out the pictures and putting it on the board. You got to do the work. The vision board gives you a goal. To me, vision boards are goals.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to get done? Like me, one of my board was Forbes, but Forbes is now a done goal.
Amen.
I got a link. You can go. You can do D Bowden space Forbes and see my article.
There you go. That's
in living color. That part.
And
I want to say, do a shout out to the people who joined. So I saw Celeste, my coach,
hey.
And get this, my former one of my buddies from my church back home in Boston, who's now a pastor, I think in Atlanta, Dr. Scott showed up tonight. I'm like, come on, God, really?
Good evening, y'all. I'm so thankful to be here, D. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Thank you for your yes. Thank you for your yes.
Anytime. For some people, it's always a yes. But some other people will be like, let me see what I can do. No. But for you, it's a yes. It's an absolute yes. So anytime. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so very much. So, So again, everybody, Collect the Cash. Official book drops April 20th, 2021. Pre-sales are happening right now. Please do me a favor and go to www.collectthecash.biz/book. That's www.collectthecash.biz/book. You get your pre-sale copy now. You get your autograph copy now. And then you guys get to take your pictures and y'all can flood social media with your picture talking about, look here, I'm part of
all the great stuff that you learned. Yes. Post up all the stuff that you learned from the book, what you apply from the book. Yeah, if the book blesses your life, the world should know about it. So don't be hesitant to share what you learn.
Let me help you, Miss Sharai, about these titles. Now we got Mindset Over Money, the importance of knowing how to collect the money, understanding cash flow, encouragement for new entrepreneurs, build a strong collections team, tips for successful collections. The fortune is in the follow-up, prepare for the unexpected, final thoughts and words of wisdom, and then the collections zone.
Somebody that got fancy, huh? I love it. You were like, what? I don't mean to hurt your feelings. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, but
that's all right. What you did was you hurt my feelings. What you did was you challenged me to dig deep and to get after it.
Yeah.
And now
you did it. And you got it. And congratulations again.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. This has been a pleasure. Thanks to Dr. Cheryl Wood for kicking your butt to get on to do Facebook Lives. Because if you hadn't been out there, I wouldn't have seen you. And if you hadn't been in your gift, no,
I'd have been talking about my kids. I would have been talking about books. I'd have been just writing books behind the scenes or helping people behind the scenes and just being social. But nope. Yeah. So absolutely, shout out to Cheryl.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did that. And I'm so glad that you held the space for me until I could get there, and then you said, "Come on, I got you." Mm-hmm. So I am emotional and grateful and all that good stuff. Yeah, all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. Yeah. All right, D. Well, thank you again. I appreciate you, love. If there's anything else that you need from me, don't hesitate to let me know.
Okay. We'll talk soon. Take care,
everybody. Good night, everyone. Peace out.